In this video, we are going to be looking at the Spanish conquest of Mesoamerica, but before we get to the downfall of the Aztec Empire, let's take a look at the background of Spain and its development. We have to start first with Moorish Spain. Now, going back to the beginning of the Common Era, around that time, going from the late BCs into the Common Era, the area of the Iberian Peninsula, where you have modern-day Spain and Portugal, was under the rule of the Roman Empire. When the Roman Empire eventually fell in the 400s in the Common Era, the Western Roman Empire, then you're going to see the rise of a new kingdom in the Iberian Peninsula, and that is going to be the kingdom of the Visigoths. Now, working our way up to 711 CE, the Visigoths eventually would find their downfall as well. The king of the Visigoths, King Roderick, would be defeated by a force from North Africa known as the Moors. And so this force was led by a man named Tariq ibn Ziyad, and Ziyad was successful in overthrowing King Roderick of the Visigoths, and eventually he would gain control of the majority of the Iberian Peninsula. And the Moors, a Muslim people, would dominate the Iberian Peninsula for around 700 years afterwards. Okay, so you have Muslim rule in Europe, in Western Europe, for about 700 years. Okay, this is the time when the Moors ruled the Iberian Peninsula. And so there were a number of different cultural achievements by the Moorish people. There is their architecture, for one. You have the Alhambra, which was a palace in the Moorish kingdom of Granada in the southern Iberian Peninsula. Here is the Alhambra. You can see this is quite the architectural feat. Here it is from the outside, right? So a massive palace, and that's not it. It's not just one or two palaces, but there were a number of cultural achievements by the Moors. I mean, there's libraries, the Library of Cordoba. Cordoba basically had a library with over 400,000 books in it. That's huge, right? That's a massive library for this period of time. There is also academies where various scholars from different areas would come to Cordoba to study, right? So it was a place of learned individuals as well. You even have some amenities like lampposts on the street. You even hear that they had a system of heating for their homes, right, where warm air would be brought in through pipes. Reservoirs, another feat of their infrastructure in Cordoba, right? So amazing things by the Moorish kingdoms there in Europe. Agricultural developments. There is vast irrigation networks that were set up in Moorish Spain, as well as new crops and animals that were introduced into the area by the Moors. And there were also periods of religious tolerance. Now, what do I mean by religious tolerance? Well, I'm talking about the toleration of the practice of different religions. So even though the Moors were Muslim, they allowed other religions to be practiced within their kingdoms. Okay, so Judaism was practiced, Christianity, of course, because the area was mostly Christian before the arrival of the Moors, and so there were periods of time where these religions would be tolerated, even though the Christians may be relegated to a second-class citizen status, where the Muslims would be the top of that social hierarchy. But then there were other periods under Moorish rule where you have rulers who were a little bit more orthodox, strict in their practice of Islam, and during those times there was less religious tolerance. Now, slowly over periods of time, the Christian kingdoms attempted to reconquer the Iberian Peninsula from the Moors, and this is known as the Reconquista. All right, so the Reconquista basically is the reconquering of the Iberian Peninsula by Christian kingdoms, right? A number of Christian kingdoms, sometimes they would work together in order to take back the land that is on the Iberian Peninsula that was ruled by the Moors, okay? And so this happened over a long period of time. We're talking several hundred years. Now, eventually, the Moors would be pushed down into the southern portions of the Iberian Peninsula, and the last of the Moorish kingdoms in that area was known as Granada. And eventually, Granada would fall as well. This happens during a period of time where two of the more powerful Christian kingdoms, Aragon and Castile, would join forces with the marriage of King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella. Okay, so when these two got married, that is going to join the kingdoms of Aragon and Castile, and they were the two most powerful kingdoms. So now this is where you start to see the formation of modern-day Spain as we know it, right, in that area of land, because before then you had a number of different Christian kingdoms. So with the combination of Aragon and Castile, now you have a more powerful force, and Ferdinand and Isabella are focused on taking back all of the Iberian Peninsula. They want to finalize the Reconquista. They want to reconquer all of the land. And so eventually they will take down the last Moorish kingdom left in the Iberian Peninsula, and that is Granada. And Granada will surrender in 1492 to the forces of Ferdinand and Isabella. 1492, you may notice that's the same year that Columbus is going to set sail for the Americas, also for Spain, right? So a pretty big year for Spain. All right, so this is going to finalize the Reconquista, right, the reconquering of the Iberian Peninsula when Granada is defeated. Now, one of the main goals of Ferdinand and Isabella is to create a Christian kingdom. The kingdom that they have doesn't have just Christians in it. There are a number of different religions being practiced in the area, including Muslims and Jews. Okay, and so Ferdinand and Isabella want to create a Christian kingdom. So eventually, they will give an ultimatum to the Jewish people who are living in Spain at the time, and the ultimatum is either convert to Christianity, or you can leave in exile and move somewhere else if you don't want to convert. Okay, and so this ultimatum is given to the Jewish people, and many will go into exile, and a lot of them will go and move to the Ottoman Empire, all right, where there is more religious tolerance. Okay, but some will stay, and for those who stay, they will convert to Christianity, and they will become known as conversos. All right, so converso is basically someone who has converted to Christianity, right? A new Christian in comparison to the old Christian families who had been Christian for several generations. In 1502, the Muslims would be given a similar ultimatum, either convert to Christianity or leave the country, and many would leave as well, but some would remain and convert to Christianity. Okay, they would be known as Moriscos. All right. And so you have a period of religious intolerance, right, where the Spanish monarchs or the Christian monarchs are not being very tolerant towards other religions or the practice of other religions in their country. And so all of this is leading up to Spain and how Spain is going to act in the Americas towards other peoples, right, because they're going to be encountering peoples of other religions, right? A number of different Native American groups, and they will be looking at them with this same sort of mentality, right? They're trying to convert people, and if people don't convert, then they will be conquered, all right?